What in your mind changed?
Well, I mean, our pace offensively slowed down. We didn't play with much pace or force on the offensive end. We quit making shots, and defensively, we really weren't good the entire game. We just weren't. We just don't put any pressure on anybody. I mean, it's very comfortable to play against us. We've got to change our defense. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have some offensive problems, but we can't give up this number of points and have any chance of having a good season. We just can't. And we're going to have to develop a much, 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 much better defensive mentality and pride than we have right now.
For BI, it was a scorching first half, and then that second half, the opposite. No made field goals, just free throws. Could you tell, did they start attacking him differently? Did he just cool off?
He had a great first quarter, and after that, yeah, they played him pretty well. I'll have to watch the film, but yeah, he wasn't a factor in the game after the first quarter.
Coach, can you put your finger on the end of the second quarter? That's the second time in as many nights that basically the latter stage of the second quarter, Utah was able to flip momentum.
Yeah, we don't sustain our play, and when you don't guard, you're totally dependent on making shots. And we hit a stretch there where we didn't make shots, and it's been a long time since we've really, played any kind of defense that'll weather those kind of storms. And so that's what happened at the end of the second quarter. We missed shots, and we have a total inability to stop anybody.
How do you feel Lonzo Ball played tonight?
Here's the thing. He was okay, but, this isn't an individual thing. It's not some guys are good, some guys aren't. It's not that. It's a collective, we're not defending hard enough. We've got to get a defensive mentality and have some pride on that end of the floor. And on the offensive end, we've got to sustain pace and ball movement and player movement and passing the ball, playing together for the entire night, not just when our shots are falling. And then when it gets tough, we become a stand around isolation one-on-one team. So there are instances of good play. There's certainly the first quarter tonight was really promising in terms of what we can do. But we've got to toughen up and take some responsibility and start doing this on a more consistent basis. And our defense has to come around, or to be quite honest, nothing else matters.
Hey, Coach, does it feel like you guys have just taken a serious step back on the defensive end? And is that disappointing considering that was supposed to be an identity for this team coming into the year?
Yeah, I do think we've taken a step back. I don't think that we're taking great pride in it individually or as a group.
And just for you, we didn't get to see it on TV. Can you tell us what happened on the ejection and what the refs might have told you?
I mean, clearly I had some things to say, and I got tossed. So there's really not a lot to say, and I'm not really willing to spend $35,000 or $50,000 on those guys.
Hey, Christian Clark here. How difficult is it to do the things you want to do defensively when there are limited practices like this? You're playing every day. How much of a challenge is that part of it?
Well, it is a challenge, but look, our problem right now, in my mind, isn't schematic. It is, and we're trying to make some adjustments. I'm not absolving us from us trying to help, but guard the ball. Get up into people, put some pressure on, guard the ball, don't get beat off the dribble, close out hard, block out, rebound the ball. Come on. We can do that without 2.5 hours every day of practice time. We got to toughen up.
Stan, Scott Kushner from NOLA.com, where does that start? Is there a leader that needs to start with? This team has not been together very long. It doesn't seem like there's a very obvious place for this? Do you put the onus on an individual at this point, or how do you kind of communicate that? And where does it have to? I mean, there has to be a head of the snake at some point, right?
Well, it's supposed to be me, and obviously I'm not getting the job done there, Scott. So that's where I put the onus as far as leadership. But look, you don't need to be together long to go out and put some pressure on the ball and get down and take some pride in containing the ball and to close out hard. You don't need to be together long to do that. Now, schematically and things like that and rotations, okay, there may be some mistakes, but the intensity level, you don't need to be together for that.
But I mean, I guess I'm speaking from a pride or whatever perspective. Do you need someone in that locker room to just kind of take control of that? I mean, is it hard to explain that kind of thing for those guys? I mean, obviously, it can't just come from a coach, I would assume.
No, it's got to come from 16 players and the coaching staff. Not one guy. There's not one guy who's going to stand up and motivate everybody or any of that. Every guy needs to take some responsibility on the defensive end of the floor to do their job, and so they can start to trust each other. We don't have enough individual responsibility on the defensive end of the floor.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Dan.
it.
Okay, thanks, guys.